I'll get started. I'm Bryan, Colin. We are VirtualAPT. We're a virtual and augmented reality technology company. We're primarily known for building autonomous robots that are mobile supercomputers that move through a space, processing real-time VR to exactly recreate a walkthrough of a real space. But we also have an AR team also, and I'm really excited to be here to talk about the AR part of our business. I think today, where AR is now, the most important thing is kind of education, educating the creatives out there and educating the multinationals, because that's really where a lot of the money is going to come into it. And frankly, people, John Warner, his team, people like that are doing things like this and bringing, really technology creators, I think is so incredible, to not allow just the biggest brands to win, to give all the small guys and the brilliant MIT students and everybody else out there a chance to compete and show off the technology. And how we see it is, we see Pokemon Go and we see this incredible success monetarily and otherwise, and we don't hate on it. We say, well, let's figure out what is great about it. What do people like? Yeah, we can say, oh, it's not a real AR, however you want to talk about it, but it did something great and it had a lot of attention. So when I look at what's popular on YouTube and the subscribers and the channels, I realize I'm not a visionary in any way of what's going to be popular. I have no idea some of these things that I get seen and they have millions of views and I just don't get it. So it's really important for us to kind of understand the user base and what's popular and what's taking off, because we live in this bubble. I mean, the people in this room are probably all, or high majority of self-described nerds. And we probably all have very similar political views and similar things that we do with our life. And nobody's confusing this audience with an audience of a weightlifting convention. So it's understanding that, we're in this little world where, we like what we like, but there's this whole big other part of the world that we have to understand and learn. So understanding the analytics and understanding our audience and trends are so important, and to see, where people are watching. We take a selection of, kind of our recent usage and understand, well, how are we not reaching this generation? How are we reaching these people? It's really important to us to kind of figure out. So some of the trends that we've noticed is headset usage, especially in VR, because that's mainstream now. The usage drops close to zero after the first use. And will that change? We don't know. We think probably not. But certainly right now, it hasn't caught on. So we're not really focusing on it, because until there's a way to monetize, until there's a way to reach a large audience that's gonna enjoy the usage of it, there's really no point in really attacking it from our perspective. The other trends that we're really noticing is that our attention spans for people are dropping down to close to zero. I mean, they're just rapidly progressing. And what we see is that people like things that are quick and simple. Everything from Snapchat to Tinder to Flappy Birds, it's fast and it's simple. And that's what's popular now, and that's the trend that's going on. And we've seen kind of the first generations of AR, and it's kind of a marker based, and you have to hold something and this. And we look at this and we say, well, that's cool. There's some great things that you can do with it, but that marker AR is not going to be widespread. You just don't see somebody holding something out of there. So we try to do everything that we do, not only for existing devices, because that's where you reach this worldwide audience, but also markerless, because you want to be able to move it anywhere and see everything and use it, that it can be widespread, that adoption can happen. I think right now there is a big tech revolution going on. Certainly you have the new spaces of AI and machine learning and VR and AR and all those things. But I think when we look at some of the smaller things, where we look at, you go to a dinner now, everyone puts their phones on the table. But 10 years ago, that would have been horrifying to people. It would have been so rude and out of place, but now you have this adoption of certainly the older generations toward technologies that they didn't understand or use, from things that are easy to use, like the iPad and Kindle that do have content that really appeals to them quite a bit. And the one thing that we really believe is that AR and VR needs to be social. It needs to be able to be widespread in order to be successful, in order to have that mainstream. So even if it doesn't have the functionality, and even if it is things that people can hate on, in order to reach this critical mass, it has to be simple, quick, it has to be comfortable. So that's really what we focus on, and I'll kind of go through, we're looking at this is what people spend their time doing. And that TV section is still staying there. We don't think it's going to go to zero. And the mobile is certainly increasing. But that little yellow, is that going to really grow to this giant part of people's day, this wearing headset, this emerging technology? We don't know. But for now, we're going to focus on kind of all of it and try to hit as much of the potential of people reaching the content that they're trying to reach. Let's do some demos. We'll kind of do a walkthrough on kind of the generations for mobile devices for AR and kind of what's possible now. We're AR in action. We want to know what we can do in AR, what we've done in AR. So we'll start with this. You're trying to take a look at a specific brand, specific logo, center it. As soon as it reads it, you can pull something up, move it around, adjust it, and it'll stay in the same spot on the screen. It'll do image transformation, movement, all that kind of stuff. You could take pictures with it, videos, and it'll also do kind of the front-facing selfie view if you want to do that as well. Always nice to get a selfie with the people that are kind enough to listen to me ramble on. And then that's really the first generation where it's doing a specific image recognition and that kind of function on it. The next version will be where something will stay in place. So you'll have and they'll interact. If you tap it, it'll slap you a little bit. And they're going to stay in the same spot, and it's cute and it's fun, and as a nice way to recognize the greatest branding thing of my lifetime. We just thought it would be real funny to do something like that. The next algorithm that we're going to show is something that we created, and I'll kind of put it up and then talk about it a little bit. So it's how to gain depth on a device that has no depth. It's how to read these specific spots. So rather than have a location that's approximated, it's specific. And we're doing it with this kind of a spider web looking thing so that on any surface, it's going to have all these unique waypoints. And the reason that we create something like this, which frankly has no use now, but will have use for a game that we're creating called Draw Then, which is essentially taking these amazing drawing abilities to draw anywhere on any surface, anywhere in the world, but to be able to do it on the existing technology. So what we want to do is say, hey, if something comes out that works for the Google Tango and it's incredible, well, how do we bring it to a wider audience for all the people that have all the old devices? Because right now it's really hard to monetize for this new next technology, but if we're able to invent something that can then also bring it to what exists now, that's incredible. Now, is this a Google Tango killer? No, because with this algorithm, the Google Tango will have more functionality and even better, but on side-by-side testing right now, from ours on an iPhone with no depth sensor compared to their depth sensor, it has very similar capabilities. And that's really where we focus hard on doing things that are now to be able to reach this worldwide audience, to turn devices into doing things that they're not supposed to do and try to create things that can reach this wide audience, because we don't know what's going to happen 5 years down the road. We really are trying to focus on the now. And this is the question that we're always asking ourselves when we do something. We're not trying to change people's future habits. We're either trying to solve problems that are happening now, or we're trying to improve an experience of what they're doing now. We're not trying to predict, and I know there's amazing, brilliant people here and futurists, but for us, our focus has to be, as a business, how can we make something better that's out there now? Thank you.